Hey, hey, hey! How's it going today? Are you alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic? Sometimes I have to say that to be alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic. One of our affirmations today is, I am free to live in health and happiness. I am free to live in health and happiness. Free from what? Free from fear and doubt and worry. Good morning. We're glad you've chosen to worship the God of your understanding with us. Welcome to Unity of San Leandro. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living, and we provide a philosophy that is spiritual, it's not religious, and it's love-based and not based in fear. I'm Reverend Diana McDaniel. I'm a Unity minister set up here for us to come together so that we can continue to worship together. So we have services online every Sunday. Sometimes we're all in person, and sometimes we're simply live streaming. We have an opening prayer, and I invite you to let these words be your words. And the opening prayer are these words, and I invite you just to turn within for a moment and to know that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, God, the good, omnipotent. There's only one presence and one power. It's part of us, we're part of it. It's in us, we're in the midst of it, and for that we are grateful. We are in the state of California, and this is a wonderful place to live, and today the sun is shining instead of raining like it has been. And this morning, George McDaniel is reading the Daily Word. Welcome back, George McDaniel. Hopefully he can make it through without coughing too much.
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, February 18th, the year 2024, and the word for today is acceptance. I practice acceptance and find peace. In the past, I have resisted unwelcome situations and unwanted outcomes. Over time, I have learned that my resistance did little more than leave me agitated and unhappy. I have learned to trade resistance for acceptance. Accepting situations as they are does not mean I like what is happening, but it does mean I am willing to be present to it without resistance or struggle. From that place, I am better able to work toward creating better conditions for myself and others. When I practice acceptance, I invite the presence of God to inspire and comfort me. I shift my attention from what might feel wrong to that which is always right, the absolute unchanging goodness of God. In the scripture for today, not that I am referring to being in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever I have. That scripture is found in Philippians 4th chapter, 11th verse. Reverend?
Thank you. You made it. Thank you, I appreciate that. So I'm going to invite you now just to move into a time of meditation and see ourselves open and receptive to the good that is ours by divine right. And so I invite you just to breathe in that pure life of spirit. And breathe out the love that you are. Let's just imagine you filling the room where you are. And say, just knowing that there is love everywhere. And so we breathe again, acknowledging that presence and power, that one that we were talking about, that one presence that was sitting in the midst of it, it's sitting in the midst of us. We're centered in God, and God is centered in us. So I invite you just to be in that place of whatever name you use for God, to Whether you say divine presence, whether you say power, whether you say force, energy, goddess, Jesus Christ, Rama, Allah. So you're in a place of just tuning into that divine essence. And we breathe and know there's something breathing in us. That there is life in us. There's love in us. And so we breathe and we give thanks for the ability to breathe. That we give thanks for the ability to think and to do what we can do. And so we are open and receptive and responsive to the living Spirit of truth this morning. That we are open, that we receive, and then we respond. This morning, as we know there's only one presence and one power, let's see it guiding and guarding and governing each one of us. That it is directing us. That we tune into that God within us ourselves. And know that things are working out. And so if you have a prayer request this morning, I invite you to bring it to mind. Remember, there's nothing too large, nothing too small. That we are in that place of trusting and knowing and having faith. Perceiving things, looking for the good and finding it. So as you bring that prayer request to mind, in your mind's eye, see everything working out. If it was a challenge, see it working out. See the other side of the problem. You're on the other side of it. You can breathe and say, thank you, God. And so as we continue this morning's service, let's join in singing the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, Mother, God, which art in heaven, hallowed be. Holy is thy nature and thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy will is being done right now. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil, from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. This morning I'm going to briefly touch on faith, and I asked Mary if she'd play a little bit of Great is Thy Faithfulness. So Mary, can you play a little bit of that? Great is thy faithfulness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I love that song, and it just sort of helps me buzz a little bit, moves me into that place of knowing I'm free to live in health and happiness. Our affirmation today is every person is a golden link in the chain of my good. Every person is a golden link in the chain of my good. I have a friend, a minister friend, and they are renovating their church building. So when they're renovating this, and this is supposed to be like a 9-month project, that means they cannot meet in their church building on Sunday mornings. And so they were looking for a place to meet, and they were offered their local synagogue because the synagogue meets on Saturday. Excuse me. Well, a couple of days before they were to sign a lease to move into the synagogue, the minister was at a city zoning meeting. And the zoning meeting, he was sharing the plan for the building project. And there were people in the audience because there were other people who had presentations to make for the zoning people. And somebody in the audience, a stranger to the minister, came to him after the meeting and said, well, while the building is going on, you're going to need a place to meet, aren't you? And my friend said, yes. And the person said, I think I know a place that might work for you. So it turned out that there was a beautiful Episcopalian church where they had the perfect setup, the perfect floor plan, and it even cost less than the synagogue. It was a demonstration. It was answered prayer. You see, we plant the seed of desire. We prepare the soil through prayer, a period of prayer, and we plant the seed that's like accepting it. So we have to know first what plant we want, what seed we want, right? What the desire is. And then you prepare the soil through prayer. And then you plant the seed, right? You prepare the soil, you plant the seed, and that's like accepting what you desire will show up. But then we have to do the weeding. You know, you have to weed the thoughts of fear and doubt and worry. And you have to do the things like watering it and continue to do what we think needs to be done. And the demonstration happens. I like to say we do our best and God does the rest. You see, there was a person in that audience who was the golden link to the chain of that church's good. This is the first Sunday of Lent. And traditionally in Unity, Lent stands for let's eliminate negative thinking. We still use that. But I thought I'd change it and say let's enjoy new things. Let's enjoy new things. Let's eliminate negative thinking so we can enjoy new things. Now Lent is an annual season of 46 days. It's an annual season of fasting, prayer, and penitence in preparation for Easter. So we cross out the negative and we allow the positive to come in. Let's eliminate negative thinking. That's not the easiest thing to do, is it? We have to catch ourselves all the time. Robert Schuller, minister of the Reformed Church, said, quote, "When faced with a mountain, I will not quit. I will keep on striving until I climb over, find a pass through, tunnel underneath, or simply stay, and with God's help, I will persevere into my highest good," unquote. Our most profound good comes when we hold fast to the truth, especially when we cannot see the results. Great is thy faithfulness. It's holding on to the truth. Our most profound good comes when we hold fast to the truth, even when we can't see the results, especially. It's called understanding faith, not blind faith. We allow for the possibility of good to manifest. Now, we tend to use belief and faith interchangeably, thinking they're the same thing, but they aren't. We each have all the faith we need, but it may not be activated. Everyone has the ability to draw their good from the invisible, but not everyone does it. We generally use the law of mind action, thoughts held in mind, to get what we don't want. Let's change that. Let's move it so that we use the law of mind action, simply said, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, to get what we do want. Let me say that belief is like the starter button, the ignition switch, to get the motor of faith running. The starter button doesn't run the car, but without it, the motor doesn't get going. Belief is the starter button and faith is the motor. And if you'll remember in Unity, our faith has an additional definition that is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. The perceiving power of the mind, it's what we can see in our mind's eye, because we hold fast to the truth, especially when we cannot see the results. Unity is a way of living. It's a positive path of spiritual living. It's a mindset. It is to see the good beyond what is going on. There's a theologian by the name of J.W. Teal, T-E-A-L. And he said, it's the habitual thought that frames itself into our life, the habitual thought. It affects us more than our intimate social relations do. Our confidential friends have not so much to do in shaping our lives as the thoughts which we harbor. Remember the law of mind action. Simply put, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, like begets like. Sometimes we might put it simply, what we think about, we bring about. What we call miracles can be an everyday occurrence. If we can control our thoughts, or at least be aware of what we're thinking, saying, and doing. Some people call it positive thinking, but it really goes beyond that. It is spiritual principle. It is spiritual law. It is the law of mind action. Miracle consciousness is only beginning to come into its own. And one day I expect miracles will be the norm. We have a saying that God can only do for us what God can do through us. And Emmett Fox explains that beautifully. He says, God never did anything for you or to you. I hope you heard that. God never did anything for you or to you. He does it through you. He doesn't grow a rose or rose bush. He grows it through the bush and the rose petals. He doesn't make the sunset for the sky. He makes the sunset through the sky. And when you know the truth that is God, you can be what you want to be, you can do what you want to do, you can have what you want to have. So you get it. The life grows through the rose bush. He doesn't make it, he grows it through the bush and the rose petals. He doesn't make the sunset for the sky. He makes the sunset through the sky. So for us, there is something that like life that moves through us, that expresses through us, where we are directed to express life. In Isaiah, in the Old Testament, chapter 41, verse 10, Isaiah 41, verse 10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you." Remember, every person is a golden link in the chain of our good. I found this story, and it was when I met this man, John Slatter, but he was known by Jack. And his name is John Wayne Schlatter, Schlatter. He was a teacher, and he was also a motivational speaker, but before he was this motivational speaker, he was a teacher. And he tells the story, and we've all heard children say, "Why do we have to learn all this dumb stuff?" He said he would answer it by telling a story, and the story was a legend. And this is the legend. One night, a group of nomads were preparing to retire for the evening when suddenly they were surrounded by a great light. They knew they were in the presence of celestial being. With great anticipation, they awaited a heavenly message of great importance that they knew must be especially for them. Finally, the voice speaks, and it says, "Gather as many pebbles as you can. Put them in your saddlebags. Travel a day's journey, and tomorrow night will find you glad, and it will find you sad." So the nomads took their journey, and they were disappointed with the message because they expected some great revelation. But they were being given some old task that made no sense to them at all. However, the memory of the brilliance of the visitor caused each one of them to pick up a few pebbles and put them in their saddlebags while voicing their displeasure. They traveled a day's journey, and that night, while making camp, they reached into their saddlebags and discovered every pebble they had gathered had become a diamond. Wow, they were glad they had diamonds. They were sad they had not gathered more pebbles. Now, Jack Slatter would tell his students this story, but he said one day it really dawned on him what the story really meant. So this is a story within the story. He said he had a student who was a difficult student. He said he majored in trouble with a minor in suspensions. He had studied how to be a bully, and he was getting his master's in thievery. He said every day he had his students memorize a quotation from a great thinker as part of their classroom work. He said as he called roll, he would begin a quotation period to be counted present and the student would be expected to finish the thought. So through the year, it was like there's no failure except in no longer trying. That was a quote. So somebody would say, my name, he called the role Alice Adams, and he'd say, "There is no failure except," and then she was to finish the sentence. "There's no failure except no longer trying, in no longer trying." And I'm present. So Mr. Slatter, by the end of the year, said that they would have memorized 150 great thoughts, like think. You can think. You can't. Either way, you're right. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, either way, you're right. If you can see the obstacles, you've taken your eyes off the goal. So there you get the idea that these young people were learning great thoughts. He said he even had Napoleon Hill's, "If you can conceive it and believe it," and then they were to say, "You can achieve it." So he said this young man, who was the difficult student, complained about this right up until the day he was expelled. He said he lost touch with him for 5 years, and then one day he called him and discovered he was in a special program at a neighboring college, and he had just finished parole. He said after being sent to juvenile hall and finally being shipped off to California Youth Authority for his antics, he'd become so disgusted with himself that he tried to kill himself. He said, "You know what, Mr. Slatter? As I lay there with my life running out of my body, I suddenly remembered that dumb quote you made me write 20 times one time. It was, 'There is no failure except in no longer trying.'" The young man said that it suddenly made sense to him. As long as I was alive, I wasn't a failure. I would be a failure if I allowed myself to die. So with my remaining strength, I called for help and started a new life. Jack Slatter said that at the time that the young man, he heard about that quotation, it was a pebble. When he needed guidance in a moment of crisis, it had become a diamond. And so John Wayne Slatter says, gather all the pebbles you can, and you can count on your future being filled with diamonds. Now, John Wayne Slatter, Jack Slatter, was not aware of what would happen with this young man. Every person is a golden link in the chain of our good, and we don't know how. There is a place that you are to fill, and no one else can fill it. There is something that you are to do, which no one else can do. Remember, our most profound good comes when we hold fast to the truth, especially when we cannot see the results. If you look for the good, you will find it. And that, my friends, is really the truth. This morning we have a song by Cherry Anderson, and it was recorded, so I'm going to play it for you now. Oh, goodness. It doesn't want, there it is.
Once I thought that my life was too hard for all this living. Then I met you and learned the more we give, the more we live. Now, in the presence of your light, I feel renewed. Gave me the steps to cross the world and say, I paved the way. In a different place and in a different state of mind. I felt defeated. Then I listened to my heart and it repeated. What has not come to me before is coming to me now. I can always feel the glory of God's love in everything I see and in everything I do. Love's coming through now. Each day I live my life in gratitude, humbled by all the love you give to me eternally. In a different place and in a different state of mind, I felt defeated. Then I listened to my heart and it repeated. What has not come to me before is coming to me now. God's love is coming to me now. Coming to me now. Oh, I'm celebrating now. Oh, oh, coming to me 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 now.
Thank you, thank you. That was Cherry Anderson. So now it's that time that we have the opportunity to accept gifts from you. And you can go to unitysanleandro.org and click on a donate button. We have an offering blessing, and I'm going to invite you to say it with me if you know it, and if you don't, you can listen to it. And the idea is to hold your pockets, have a vision of your accounts where you just see them full, knowing that there's no lack of limitation in the mind of God and no lack of limitation in your life. So it's divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, and all the good I give and receive. I am grateful. And so it is. And so we give thanks for all the gifts of volunteerism, of prayer, of positive thoughts, of financial gifts, and we are grateful. And so it is. And so for our announcements, we have on today a virtual coffee hour at 12 noon. And you can go to unitysanleandro.org, click on the coffee cup. It has cream and heart-shaped cream in it. You click on that, and it actually will bring you into the virtual coffee hour. And then on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m., we have prosperity mornings. And it's a wonderful prosperity group. We support each other in being open and receptive to the prosperity that is ours by divine right. So that's Tuesday morning. You do the same thing. Go to the coffee cup on unitysanleandro.org, and it'll bring you right in. And then Wednesday evenings at 6:30, we have mastermind prayer, and we invite you to join us. That's it's a short period, but it's a good one. And then on the first Sunday of the month, we meet at the San Leandro Community Center at 13909 East 14th Street. So we meet in person, and at that time, the service begins at 12:12, because there's a church that meets before us. So at 12:12, and then normally we'll go back to 11:11 for the other Sunday. So only on the first Sunday do we do 12:12. And this is all Pacific time, by the way. So, it is interesting because we do have some people who have been from Hanoi watching our service, and from various places around the United States and the world. We had 6 different countries. So it is welcome. We're glad you're choosing to worship the God of your understanding with us. Okay, so as we go forth, let's remember that the light of God surrounds us and the love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us and the presence of God watches over us. That wherever we are, God is and all is well. And join in singing, Let There Be Peace on Earth. And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family, all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me and you and me. Have a wonderful week, and remember, it is the Lenten season.